Hey everyone, Morgan here with my co host Megan from the Photo Business Success Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about what you should not invest in your business and alternative things as to what you should invest in. I know this is going to be a little controversial
A lot
and,
controversial.
and probably hit a few nerves, but
That's
let's,
what we do.
yeah, we're okay with that. So let's start with the list of things that you should not invest in.
Can I start?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So I think I proposed this topic initially because I was thinking about gear, how photographers need to stop investing in gear. You do not need one lens. You're not one lens away from everything being perfect.
Perfect.
The more I actually started off with a lot of lenses because I was borrowing from my dad's kit. So I had access to a lot of stuff. And the more I shot, the less lenses I needed. Like I got to the point where I could shoot an entire wedding with a 50 and an 85 and that was it. Like I
Yep.
didn't need anything else. Sometimes so like I would bring with me to a wedding was a 50, an 85, a 35. I had a macro and I had a 24. But the macro and the 24, the macro would be like literally ring shot only.
Yep.
The 24 would be like only if there was what I think of as like a California wedding party where there are 24 to 36 people in it, or like really like a landscape shot. And again, I would use it for very few photos. And even the 35, just because of my shooting style, was not regularly in use. I know for some people, the 85 is unnecessary and the 35 is more what they go for. But practically speaking, we could all photograph an entire wedding with a 50 or a 35 and have that be in your style. And
Yep.
like, you don't need another lens.
Every
You also don't need a camera. You don't need a new camera. The camera you have, like, I remember having a conversation with a girl in a coffee shop one time. She was like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, like I really need a new camera." And it was like right after the 5D Mark III had come out.
wow,
This
dating yourself. Anyways.
Yes, that's what I said. And she was like, "I really need a new camera." And I was like, "Why?" And she was like, "Well, like I have a 5D Mark II." And I was like, "Okay. Did
Okay.
it work before the 5D Mark III came out?" And she was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Did it take great photos before the 5D Mark III came out?" And she was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "And like today it stopped working?" And she was like, "No." And I was like, "So why do you need another camera? Like you don't." I'm not saying literally never buy lenses, literally never buy new camera bodies, but like they're not going to make you more money. They aren't going to make you more money. They won't make you more
I'm
money.
I am the worst about not upgrading my gear. My second body I have had since I started shooting weddings in 2017, and that thing is about to bite the dust. It takes forever to save images to the card, even with a like 200 megabyte per second card in there. And I know I need to upgrade it for that reason alone. I just haven't. I've been shooting on it for 3 years with it doing that. It's okay. My main body works fine. And also to add to the lens thing, I literally do the same thing as Megan. I shoot at 35, 85. I have a macro for ring shots, and that's it. I have a 70 to 200 in my bag that I bought from a friend for real cheap, and that's the only reason I have it. And I also have a 20 millimeter, again, bought super cheap from a friend who wasn't going to use it anymore for
Oh
fun.
yeah. As a side note, buying used lenses is like totally where it's at.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
by the way, I recently shot your family photos on a Nikon D750 that I bought in 2014, and I know this is going to shock everyone, but it still worked. Hasn't
Yep.
been serviced in 6 years, maybe more.
Yep.
Still worked. Still
Yep.
produced great photos. Shocking.
It's great. And it was those photos were recently printed on a 48 by 24 inch, I think is what it was,
Mhm.
canvas. They look fine. They look beautiful. Totally
Yep.
great. Okay, we said this episode was going to be short. It's not looking like it, but let's
We
keep
can
going.
crank through the next ones. Let's go.
Next one is a new website.
Oh my gosh, you don't need a new website.
or new branding.
You don't need to pay someone to do a new website for you. You can make small and incremental changes to your website, but like I promise you, every time, not every time, the time that I spent the most money on a website across all of my businesses, which is I don't know, I've lost track now. The time that I spent the most money was the time that I felt I like I used it the least in terms of like I think I kept it up for a year. I think I kept it up
Yep.
for a year before I
Yep.
went and changed it.
Literally never paid anybody for a website. I paid for a website template, which
Right.
I think is
Templates,
beneficial. It's
templates,
great.
great when you need it every 3 to 4 years max.
Max. Yeah. I haven't changed mine since 2018, I think. Don't really know. Don't really care. Next thing, styled shoots and creative workshops.
For the love, stop spending money on these. You are a perfectly decent photographer. You produce
The
fine work.
the only time I think styled shoots are beneficial is when you are getting into shooting weddings. I use them as a resource to learn how other people pose couples. It was great for that and great to like build a portfolio before I could go shoot.
I
Most
think
if you're
they're I think they're good for networking if it's like if you're the only photographer. Like if it's like a
yeah,
coordinator is putting together a styled shoot, do
right,
that. You should
right.
never pay, I shouldn't say never. Morgan gave a good reason for it, for a reason why. But like you don't need those images in your profile. I mean in your portfolio. You don't need
No.
them cuz
And
guess
you
what? Everyone else is going to have them.
I
Everyone
was gonna
else.
say,
And everyone will also be able to tell that it's a styled shoot.
mhm.
Everyone.
Next thing is a styling kit.
Actually, sorry, creative workshop, real quick. Creative workshops. Y'all love to spend so much money on creative workshops and then you are like so sad that you're broke. Creative workshops, in my experience, cost way more than business workshops and have zero yield. There is no financial ROI on a creative workshop. When you are making plenty of money, feel free to do that. I remember I did one in 2013. It was worth it. That's the only creative workshop that I ever did. And guess what? People paid me thousands and even tens of thousands of dollars for my work. That was fine.
I
Okay, styling
remember
kit.
styling kit. Yeah. We don't you don't need to spend hundreds and thousands of dollars on a styling kit. I have a styling kit because I thought that's what I needed when I started. I couldn't tell you the last time I took it to a wedding. I keep a ring box and like a roll of ribbon in my camera bag, and that's it.
I put mine together for $50 at like from like Joann's Fabric,
Yeah. I would rather
including
if you're going to like invest money, like a kit to bring, make it your emergency kit.
and also yeah, like I didn't by the way, like I used that not nearly enough for how much effort I put into making it. Love the idea of an
Oh,
emergency kit. Like, you will not regret having a sewing kit. You will not regret having Tide pens and like
guess what?
whatever. Like,
The
hmm?
bridesmaids are going to remember that too. They're not going to remember what
And
the
the
detail
coordinator,
shots look like.
safety pins, straight
Yep.
pins, bobby pins, hair
Yep.
ties.
The only person who is going to thank you for your detail shots are these stationers. And guess what? Most of the time now, you're not going to have like incredibly intricate stationary sets and invitation suites.
Yeah.
And if you
Guess
are,
what?
they're
Tell you
probably
what.
not from
If
somewhere.
you're shooting a $100,000 wedding, you go ahead and buy that. Go
Yep.
ahead. But that's the only reason. Let's move on.
Software that does things
The
we
same
all
thing. Software that does the same thing as other software that you have. Don't do it. Stop it. Stop switching software. The gallery tool that you have, it works. The CRM tool that you have, it works. Stop switching. Stop doing it. Stop.
unless there's something you are specifically missing or having a problem with, you don't need to switch.
Yes. And half of the tools that you have, you probably aren't using. Stop paying for them.
This last one's going to be really controversial right now. And I have seen so many of my friends make this purchase recently.
Oh,
These Ray-Bans with the camera in them for you to get behind the scenes, reels, or whatever you're going to use them for, you don't need to spend $400 on them.
So true.
If you are if you are making over 200,000 a year and have that extra money to burn, sure, sure, that's fine. Oh, but also if you are if your reels and TikToks using behind the scenes are bringing in inquiries,
If you're already doing like that kind of social media content, yes. If you're not already doing it, buying $400 glasses isn't going to be the thing that makes you do it.
and it's not going to be the thing that makes the money.
Right.
It's just not it. I know it will make your life easier because you don't have to remember to pull out your camera, but you could also buy an $8 mount for your hot shoe that puts your camera on it or that puts your phone on it. And why don't you see if you actually use that? Because I guarantee you're not going to remember to do all the time.
All right. What should people spend money on?
I think we've talked about this before, but my favorite thing to spend money on is coaching.
Why is
It
that?
because this has brought me the highest ROI and has made the biggest difference not only in my business but in my life. I think we've talked about this before. Megan was my first business coach. My husband did not want me to invest in her. He has come to regret that statement ever since. And I can say it this way because the two of them love to pick on each other now. So it coaching has made the biggest difference in my life. Every time I've invested in coaching, I have leveled up. I When I started with Megan, I was making $40,000 a year. Within the first year of working with her, I moved up to 180,000. When I got my second business coach, I went from 180,000 to 280,000. Now on my third business coach, and that just started 3 weeks ago, I think. So, we're still working on numbers on that one. It's also for a different business, but time I've invested, I've seen the results.
Mhm.
I
And
will
here's
say
go
if
ahead.
you're going to invest in coaching, you have to put in the work.
Yeah.
It's not a magic pill that's going to fix everything. You have to do the work.
Right. Here's the thing about investing in a coach is that you're actually investing in yourself when it's a good coach. I've invested in good coaches, I've invested in bad coaches, I've invested well over probably close to $500,000
Yeah,
total at this point. All of it was worth it to me because I learned even from the bad,
that's
I
coach.
learned. And like I'm getting emails again from a coach who I bought from in I think it was like 2020 and like I never used the program. I never used it and like even that like that wasn't his fault. It wasn't a bad program. I know tons of people who had tons of success with it. It wasn't a bad program. It's just that like I ended up being overwhelmed. It ended up not being the right thing for me. Even recently I bought something that was $1,500 and like that's a very low investment for me like now,
Yeah.
but like I bought something for $1,500 and it was like too much at that time. And
Mhm.
I know a ton of people who have had success with the strategies and everything,
Yep.
but like for me it was the wrong time to invest. And so like what I learned from that is I paid a $1,500 lesson to remind myself that overloading myself with things to do is actually not the thing. Like
Yep.
simplifying is the thing. So like that was very worth it for me. So yeah, coaching is it's always worth it. It will teach you a lesson. You have to make sure you let it teach you the lesson, but like ideally have someone good.
I also recommend in something that is going like investing enough that it's going to force you to do it. And what I mean by that is I have plenty of like courses that I have purchased that I have never opened because that wasn't enough of an investment for me to like worry about it.
Right.
Meanwhile, I make, like an $8,000 investment. I'm going to make sure that I log in and do the work
Yeah.
because that's a little bit more.
Right.
So, highly recommend making sure that when you choose your investment that it's also enough to make you do it. And that looks different for everybody in every different like
And it's not
stage.
even like about how much money you're making at the time compared to like what the investment is. It's like about your mindset. It's so many different things. We could do a whole episode on that. So let's move
Yeah.
on because there are many more good investments to make.
Marketing
Marketing.
is something that nobody ever wants to spend money on, but it's going to have the like one of the highest ROI in your business if you invest in a good marketer. Obviously, we have most of us have been screwed at some point or another with marketing, but if you've done your research and find somebody good, it's also going to change your life and
Yeah.
change your business. So, highly recommend finding somebody who is great at marketing and invest in. And also like figure out like what kind of marketing works best for you. Not everything is going to be perfect for everybody.
Right.
I personally love Facebook and Instagram ads. If you need a person to run your Facebook and Instagram ads, hi, we do that. I love it. It's like a game to me. It's not for everybody though.
For
Totally.
me, my favorite by far was hiring someone to like do done for you SEO and then teach me how to SEO. And
Yep.
like I've talked about in previous episodes, that was the game changer for me. But also like your marketing could be like a networking group, like something like BNI.
Yep.
It could be like for some people, like the absolute life changer, game changer has been not that I recommend it, but like I know people who have changed their whole lives from like a wedding wire
Yep.
ad or the knot or whatever it all is. I think those two combined. Did they combine?
They combined.
Okay. Yeah. Or featured whatever sponsored thing in like a blog or
Mhm.
whatever.
Or
It's like
Zola or something like that.
yeah, so like you find the right thing and like there again, you're going to make investments that seem like they're bad investments, but like the ROI is just not a financial ROI. The ROI is a learning
Yep.
lesson. Like I invested for quite a while in both Wedding Wire and The Knot and I think I booked between the two of them, I think I booked 3 weddings total. It was multiple thousands of dollars. I just learned that like that wasn't a good way for me because my work didn't look different enough from other
Yeah.
people's work. But like someone we've mentioned him on in the past, someone like Jason Vinson would stand out a lot. His work would look very different, and so like
Mhm.
that might be something that would work for him.
Or somebody like I have a friend who swears by the knot and wedding wire. They spend a lot of money every year on it, but it's because they're like a more like budget friendly and high
Mhm.
volume company.
Yeah.
And so that works really well for them.
Yes.
I've also invested in the Knot and Wedding Wire, and I literally didn't book a single thing. Like, didn't even have. I think I had like maybe 3 inquiries the entire year. That wasn't that wasn't the investment for me. That wasn't like what
Yeah.
worked, and that's fine. But find what works for you. My next investment is education.
Right. Which could
So
be
this kind of goes
workshops, it can be courses. Coaches a lot of times come with education, so that's a lot of times why we like coaches is they give us education and coaching. There's lots of different things that education can be.
absolutely. The next is resources to make your job easier. And
Oof,
I we talked about like what not to invest in with like software that already works.
yeah.
But if there are other things that are going to like if there's software that's going to help make things easier, invest
Mhm.
in it.
Yeah.
I can one tool that I use more than literally anything else in my business is Zapier. I don't know
Yeah,
what
I
I
was
would do
thinking
without
about
it.
that for you. I have, like, a funny one that I'm gonna share.
This
So it's called FocusMate. We can link to this in the show notes.
okay.
It's called FocusMate, and it basically uses the concept of body doubling. So, as someone with ADHD and a to do list every day of 30 to 800 things, I struggle to do like what I really need to focus on because I'm always like
Mhm.
pulled in a million different directions. And Focus Mate is like you and a buddy basically on camera together, and you can turn cameras off. Different people do different things, basically, like while you work. And it has been amazing for me. Have I not told you about this? It's my favorite thing.
No. But
It's
also, why
$10.
was this not a thing when I was in college?
So it's $10 a month, and I've worked with college students before who use it for studying. It's $10 a month and for like unlimited sessions, and like
This is
I
the
will
best
use it
ADHD tool.
for it's okay. So I will literally use it for like of course I do it for work, but also, like, if I need to, like,
I was
clean
gonna
my
say,
kitchen,
of laundry was,
anything.
like, my
Yes,
thing. I'm like,
yes.
that's the perfect thing to
Or, like,
do.
fold your laundry or, like, hang your clothes or whatever, yeah. So, yes, that to me is, like, it's so stupid that it's, like, it's only $10 a month, and it is, like, my greatest productivity hack, but, like, that's such a good example of a tool that is worth spending the money on. And we also have, like, we have all these other tools or resources, and, like, resource doesn't have to be, like, a software tool. Resource can be a person, although, like, that gets into what I think is the next item on the list. Like, resources are essentially like anything that you can leverage to create profitability in your business.
Yep. Yep. I think we should also do an episode on like different tools that we use to be productive because I've
Yeah.
got some other things too. The next one, our final one, which I'm sure there's like plenty of other things too we could add, but outsourcing. We both love outsourcing so much. I outsource so much, and this doesn't have to just be business things too. I think we've talked about this before about like outsourcing like cleaning your house or meal prep,
Mhm.
things like that.
Yeah.
We've talked about this in the past, but outsourcing is so important to then because you can't do everything.
You
And
cannot do
not
everything.
and you shouldn't do everything.
Mhm.
This is something I talk about a lot with my ad agency is that just because you can do it doesn't mean you should and doesn't mean you're the right person to do it either.
Right.
I cannot like stress enough how important it is to like invest in somebody who is a professional in whatever they do.
Yeah.
Obviously there's some things like you can do yourself and there's some things you should do yourself, but look at like what is worth it to outsource. They're a professional and they know better than you, or maybe because it's a stupid low budget task that anybody can do. Like, hello, editing. I don't edit shit anymore.
I like so I don't think just anyone can edit. Like that's not which is funny cuz like that was the like I think like my most key hire or
Yeah.
like outsource was like I had this amazing friend named Becky who for reasons I won't get into, like she was a photographer and she like couldn't photograph and so like she took on editing and like I literally for the longest time I couldn't tell the difference between our photos. She used my presets, but then she also balanced them and like she asked for like specific feedback. She was so good at taking that. And then she took on it got to the point where she was better at it than I was. Like I could tell the difference, but it was because her editing had gotten better than me and that was
Yeah.
because like editing was the thing that she was
Finished
doing,
it.
like,
Yep.
100%. And
I
so,
mean,
like,
same
for
thing,
me
editor.
yeah. So, like, editing for me is, like, it's so cost effective for how much it frees you up, especially
That's
for me because I had such quick turnaround time
right.
and, like, that was something that was, like, so important to me, and, like, with Becky, I, like, knew that she was gonna deliver it, like, in the same time frame that I was. So, yeah, like, that just was I mean, that was the best money that I
I
could
guess
spend
I
because it
should
meant that I could do 3 weddings in a weekend
right.
because, like, she and I were tag teaming, like, the later part of it.
To clarify. I don't think it's something everybody can do, but it is not expensive. That's I like we should get into like we should do a topic about like the like dollar an hour tasks type thing how
Oh,
to
yeah, we should do
um
that.
but it's one of those that are at a lower price point than what you are. Like your post earlier today on Facebook about
I was
uh
just thinking about that.
like photo like business owners value themselves at $500 an hour, but then they go do these like little things that aren't $500 an hour tasks. So outsourcing is one of those things that like helps dedicate your time to what it needs to be dedicated to.
Right. Yeah. The things that, like, only you can do.
Exactly. Okay.
Alright. Anything else?
I don't think so. I think that is all of it for today. Please join our community. We'll link it in the show notes, and it also Whether you're listening to us on wherever you get podcasts or you're watching us on YouTube, please leave a 5-star review and comment
Subscribe, rate,
all of the
review,
things.
whatever.
All of the things. It helps us so much. Please share it with a friend too. That would be so, so helpful. We're doing this not because we want to make money from this, because we aren't.
We
We're
definitely
literally
don't.
taking we're literally taking time out of our day because we think it's so important for others to view photography businesses the way we do. And so we would love for you to share it. It's just really important to us, and we're here to have fun with this, and like we also want to get to know you guys too. So please join the community. Also, we've talked about this before, the Wedding Multiplier Toolkit. It is also linked in the show notes. So if you would like to purchase that, also, never mind, this is coming out after Black Friday. So ignore me on that. But if you would like to purchase that, it's in the show notes. If you have any questions about our ad agency, please feel free to reach out. We'll also drop our email address in there too, so they can reach out if they have any questions about that as well. We will talk to you guys next Wednesday, and let us know if you need anything. Talk soon. Bye, guys.